You're listening to
It doesn't matter what you think!
the Sports Fellas Podcast.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy Andres. We are back with episode 50. I know I promised this last week, but unfortunately I was sick. This week I'm feeling a little bit better. But today, along with my co-host Eric, how you doing, sir?
I'm good. It's crazy. Actually, I remember seeing you in person, and I was like, it's weird seeing Andres not in a little, screen anymore. That was the first time we met in person, so it felt real weird at first, I'm not gonna lie. And then I was just watching you go through it whenever he were losing that game.
Hey, listen, you gotta. We lost that game. We almost won the next one, but we finally won in 7. But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, this is a special episode 50, and for episode 50, I had to invite a special guest, Mr. Christian. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. How are you? I'm good.
Love to hear it. I'm doing good. Before we get started, I know there's a lot to talk about in basketball. There's a couple people I want to shout out. First of all, I want to shout out Ronald Acuna Jr. because what he's doing this year has been phenomenal. Last year, he was playing through his knee injury, and a lot of people were saying that he's washed. This year, he looks like a perennial MVP candidate. I'm not just saying that because I'm wearing his jersey, and definitely not saying that because he's from Venezuela. I want to give another shout out to Jose Altuve. He's finally back from his injury, so all the people that were against the World Baseball Classic and against players representing their country can go eat a frank. And this is funny because this is another Venezuelan that I want to shout out, Luis Arraez. I mean, he's batting 390. Listen, I'm not one of those guys that batting average means everything, but seeing a guy bat 390 in our lifetime is pretty crazy. So I wanted to shout them out. Eric, any shout out for any baseball player recently?
I saw that Aaron Judge catch. That was crazy. He's kind of been on one that how many home runs is he at? He's leading.
19.
He's not leading. Is
19.
he leading?
Yeah, he's leading. In the
He's
AL,
been
yeah.
going nuts. I was looking at what's that thing where it shows the percentile rankings?
Baseball saving?
Him and Acuna, they're like miles ahead of everyone. It feels like when you look at those.
Yeah, absolutely. He's had a better start to this season than last year when he won the MVP last year, and he had like an 11 winnable replacement. So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Christian, any shout outs for any baseball player that you're looking at right now?
I got Jose Siri, former Astro. He's been doing great this year.
He's been doing fantastic. Yeah. Oh my god. And it
And
just
doing it
seems
with
like
swag.
yeah, you gotta have some sort of class. And shout out to Hunter Brown, man. He's been phenomenal for you guys.
Yeah.
he's pretty good.
What do they call him? Like Baby Verlander and everything? Like his form is just like him.
Yeah, I saw that GIF or GIF, however you guys want to pronounce it, of Hunter Brown and Verlander's like wind up, and it's like literally the same eye for eye. Pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, today, so last week we were talking about Team World catching up to Team USA talent-wise, talking about the NBA Finals. We're gonna talk about Spoelstra. We're talking about the Champions League Final. There's a lot going on in basketball and footy. So Eric, the Heat and the Nuggets are in the finals. What was your reaction to seeing the Heat win Game 7, and did you have the Celtics coming back down 3-0?
I thought so. Whenever it was like 3-1, and everyone was like, "Oh, they might do it," I still thought Heat were pretty easily gonna win. I thought Heat were gonna win Game 6. When they lost Game 6 and it went to Game 7, I thought Celtics were gonna win. So pretty much every way I thought it was gonna happen, the opposite kept happening.
So you're a jinx.
I guess so, because I mean, I feel like everyone kind of thought Celtics were winning Game 7. Even the odds, like everyone thought that Celtics were gonna kind of win by like 15 in Game 7, and then
They were like negative 9, right?
Yeah, they were like 9-point favorites, and then they came out just flat, and Heat were just straight up better. I don't even know. Maybe this is me like just being a pessimistic person about the Heat, but I didn't even think the Heat were that good. I thought it was just Celtics being that bad in Game 7. Maybe that's just me though.
Christian?
Repeat the question one more time.
Like, do you think it was Game 7 was more like Heat winning or Celtics losing, basically? I thought it was more Celtics losing. I thought the Heat looked okay, but they didn't.
Yeah, I mean, even especially with the Tatum injury, it just felt like they were climbing an uphill battle from the beginning.
Yeah.
So.
But
Yeah,
Jaylen Brown's got to be better. He's got to be a lot better.
I feel like coming down from 3-0, Eric, we said this like a couple weeks ago, it takes a lot out of you mentally, you know? So when you're down 3-0, it felt like at the same time, like the Heat had pressure, quote unquote, right? But then when it came to Game 7, you felt like all the pressure was back on Boston. You know what I'm saying? Like we say pressure as fans, but obviously the players don't feel pressure. So, excuse me. So when it got back to Boston, I felt like the Celtics, in a sense, had their backs against the wall, but I also felt like we had a chance. Like after I saw Spo with the press conference, he said, "I wish we could tip this thing off right now, like right now, literally. But we're gonna wait the 48 hours." That's when I knew. I felt it. I'm like, bro. I started texting my friends. I was like, bro, we're gonna win Game 7. Like you guys are, like don't let go of the rope. And then one of my friends, we made a bet for $20. He FaceTimed me. He was texting me all in caps. He was like, "Oh, have my money ready, this and that," because I said the same thing after Game 3. But I was like, bro, like, what are you gonna do on Monday when you still have to pay me? So I still won that bet, but I felt confident, bro. Like, I don't know why. I woke up that morning. I was so happy. I was like, listen, bro, like, we're going to go to war tonight. We're going to win. Like, it's going to be the Memorial Day Massacre. And we ended up winning by, like, 15 points. Obviously, the Tatum injury is sad. You know what I mean? But, like, I feel like we live in an NBA world where no NBA fan likes to use context. You know what I mean? So, obviously, they're going to look at the box score, see that he had 14 points. It's crazy because Jason Tatum didn't play bad, per se. And he still had more points than like Devin Booker had in 2 of his 3 elimination games, you know, and nobody talks about that, but it was a great game. So Christian, you and I, we've been high on the Nuggets all year. What did you think about how they dominated the Lakers? Because it felt like every time the Lakers had an answer, the Nuggets just replied right back.
I didn't expect it to be like that. I'm pretty sure my prediction was Nuggets in 6, somewhere around there. Like I thought the Lakers, defense was just gonna slow them down a little bit. It's been pretty great. I think it was like number 3 since the All-Star break. So I thought it was going to slow them down a little bit, and maybe, LeBron could get some pressure on the rim, but even he didn't look that right as far as his foot. And, it's just been a pretty like thorough, very good playoff run from the Nuggets overall.
Yeah, but they have everything you need. They have a 3-and-D player in KCP. They have Michael Porter Jr., who's never seen a shot he doesn't like. You have Aaron Gordon. Bro, you remember we were talking in the group chat about Aaron Gordon asking out? We were like, what the hell is Aaron Gordon doing asking out? So he asked out. He's on a championship team now. Jamal Murray's story has been remarkable. You tear your ACL. They thought he was damaged goods, and he comes back and he had an all-time playoff run, and he was phenomenal against the Lakers. And then you have Joker, who's not arguably, because I think he's there right now. I think he's the best player in the NBA. And a great coach in Mike Malone. Then off the bench, you got Bruce Brown, who's been fantastic. Jeff Green, who has veteran experience. And you have Christian Braun. And that's been their 8-man rotation the whole entire playoffs.
Yeah, it's been pretty good. It's not like as deep as people think. I think that they're pretty top heavy, but then they have those role guys who like kind of fit around Jokic. And so it looks a lot easier to hide their deficiencies,
Man, Jokic is one of those players, though, like, throughout his career, he's just going to get players paid. Like, I feel like people around Jokic will look better, and he's going to get a lot of people paid up a lot of money. Like, I feel like he kind of is going to have that LeBron aspect, where LeBron, he got, like, Timothy Mozgov, like, money he would have never dreamed of, just because LeBron makes players look better, and that's what Jokic is going to do. I feel like if you argue against anyone else being the best player in the world right now, you're just wrong, honestly. Like, even Giannis, who I was kind of on for a while being the best, I feel like you have to give to Jokic. Now, he's with what he's doing and how he's one of the best offensive players I think we've ever seen in the league. I don't know if that's already saying too much, but I feel like I don't think you can overstate his offensive impact.
I don't think it would be crazy to call him the best offensive center ever either already.
I agree. That's why I saw a lot of Rockets fans. They were all like, it's still clearly Hakeem. Like, I feel like with what Jokic does passing also and his shot, it's got to be Jokic.
Yeah, and I mean, Hakeem is great. I would have someone more like a Shaq or a Kareem up there as far as scores. Shaq was like pretty much an offense by himself. Yeah. Hakeem was great, like as far as moves, but like on a consistent basis, as far as like taking efficient shots, I'm taking a Jokic, a Shaq, or a Kareem over him. But probably Shaq or Jokic for me at the top.
Yeah, I saw a lot of old heads on Facebook mentioning Wilt Chamberlain. I was like, bro, stop it. I'm like, come on, man. He wasn't like, he was a myth.
Christian, you were talking pretty high about where Embiid is all time, right? Like among centers and offensive and everything.
Yeah, I might have overshot it a little bit for sure. Like I definitely, it didn't look that great again after this year. Yeah. I think, and with my problem with Embiid is just it's the health thing. I thought this year was going to be the year that he could finally be healthy, and man, it just has not happened. I don't know why I'm going to continue to delude myself, but I do feel like if he does get a chance to be healthy during a playoff run, he like pretty much gets rid of all those, demons and stuff like that. He looks apprehensive when he plays a lot, Like he's just taking weird shots against smaller defenders sometimes. I don't know.
I don't know. That's part of why which granted, I know you probably think so too. I saw your reply and everything. I was probably going a bit overboard with my heart and stuff the other day, but I just don't know how people could put their faith when the playoffs started. I don't know how people were putting their faith in a team led by Harden, Embiid, and Doc Rivers. Like that team was never going to win it all to me. Like with Harden and Embiid, I guess you can't really say shrinks in big moments. He just more so gets injured all the time, so that always holds him back. But with not having faith in Embiid staying healthy, with Harden being the most inconsistent player ever in the playoffs, like he'll literally drop 45 on 67%, and then the next game drop 9 points. Like he's extremely inconsistent. And then Doc Rivers, I think Doc Rivers is a good regular season coach, but I don't know if I have faith in him in a series matched up against other great coaches. Like Doc versus Spoelstra, always would take Spoelstra. Doc, like all these other ones, even Malone, I would take Malone over Doc. Like I just don't know if I have faith in him out coaching another great coach, but he can get it done for the regular season, get them a good seed, but I don't know how much that matters.
Yeah.
It's crazy because I wanted to verify this because I saw a tweet about it. Joel Embiid and James Harden. So James Harden has more 40-point games in the playoffs than Embiid does.
I believe that.
As a Sixer.
Yeah. Oh. Wow, I didn't know that.
Really? Like all time?
Yeah, bro. So I was looking at it. Bro, I had to verify it on Basketball Reference because Embiid, I remember he had the 40-point game against the Hawks 2 years ago, and then Harden had the 2 40 pieces against the Celtics, and I was like, no way, that's true, man.
Embiid only has one?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of surprising, but it does kind of make sense just from a standpoint of like Embiid just started to become this player around like 2021.
Yeah, 2 years ago. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think he's had moments where he should have been better in the playoffs, and obviously he should have more 40-point games, things like that, if you want to be considered like best player in the world, MVP type player. But it's just, like I said, get healthy. And his defense also takes a big uptick in the playoffs as well. Like that's where he really shines, because there were some times in the regular season I'll see him just being a little lazy, and I'm like, I start to question how like good he is on it. But once we get to the playoffs, that's where he really shines, even when he is injured. But yeah, he still has to get better, mentally, physically, all that.
I feel like all three of us we're very pro players and pro superstars, but Christian, can you reach a point where Embiid is the common denominator, or is it like two? Because he's had awful coaching in Brett Brown and Doc Rivers. He had Ben Simmons, who was obviously he wasn't his best version in 2021. He had Jimmy Butler for a year, but Jimmy wasn't. So Jimmy Butler in Philly, right? He was their closer, but like in the playoffs, I think he was their best player. But at the same time, in that game 7. I think in the fourth quarter he had like 11 points, and so did Embiid. But you as obviously you're a big fan of Embiid and a big fan of the game, obviously. So can you say that Embiid, it's your time to get blamed, or are we going to factor everything else around him? Because now this year he has a great coach in Nick Nurse. So what do you think about that?
I think that we can start to get to that point. I think whether you like it or not, injuries are a part of the game, and like you still have to be consistent. You have to be the best of the best ability is availability. So you can kind of blame him. It's not his fault that he got injured, but he's still got to be better in other facets. Like I said, that's not the only reason he's had some slip ups. But yeah, I'd say we're getting pretty close, and especially if he has like a pretty ideal situation this year. Depending on what the Sixers do in the offseason, I think that you can start to get towards, he's to blame.
Eric?
I agree. I just think it sucks because he's not healthy ever. Like, I feel like even whenever he's playing, he's typically playing through an injury, which I know most players are playing through stuff late in the season, but like, I feel like it's usually pretty big stuff with him. Like, we can talk about like, Tatum played through an injury, which he did. That's like, I feel like some players play through like bruises, bumps, all that. But if you're playing like what Tatum did in Game 7, where you literally like your ankle was sideways, pretty much, you, like twisted that bad. Whenever it's an injury that bad, it's obviously going to affect your game. Like Tatum couldn't really drive, or he couldn't plant off it, so he's selling for a lot of bad shots. LeBron couldn't drive to the rim whenever this playoffs at the end because he hurt his foot, so he couldn't really drive to the rim. He was selling for a lot of bad shots. I feel like we see that with Embiid almost every year, and I hate to say it, but I feel like at some point it's just got to start counting against him because, like you said, availability is the best ability, and he's 29 and he's never made it out of the second round. Like, at some point, we just got to start holding him accountable for that, and it sucks because whenever he's healthy, he does really well. But I don't see it really with him. Like, that's why next year, even with Nick Nurse or something, I don't have a ton of faith in that team, especially because if they lose Harden, who can they add that would replace that? And if they do keep Harden, are they really getting any better? Like, I feel like I just don't, I don't know. I don't see much room for this team to grow as it is right now. And if their whole improvement is based off of like Tyrese Maxey being better, well, then Harden's also getting older. And if it's based off of Nick Nurse just being that much of a better coach than Doc Rivers, that's still ignoring the health problems that this team will have. And you're relying a lot on Tobias Harris. Like, I just don't know if I see this team being a championship team. Like, they're good enough, but they need everything to connect, and I don't think it ever will for this team right now.
I think that's a very fair assessment. I'm not gonna lie. Pretty much agree with everything.
I don't know. And Harden, my thing with Harden is he has great game ones. He kind of always has. Like, game ones in series, he usually shows up and balls out, and that's what we saw. This game one versus Boston, whenever he had the insane game one without Embiid, winning in Boston without Embiid was huge. Like, I thought Sixers were taking the series just from that alone. And then had a horrible game, then had a crazy good game, then had a horrible game, another horrible game, another horrible game. Like, it's just, he's not consistent enough, I don't think, in the playoffs to get it done. And like, even I posted about like 2018 playoffs Harden, and the 3 game ones of that playoffs, he averaged like 42 points on like 70% true shooting. And every other game combined, he averaged like 25 points, which is a 7. Granted, 42 is unsustainable. But other than that, in the other games, he had like 25 points per game on like 50% true shooting, which is pretty below average efficiency. So it's like he always starts a series really well, it feels like. But then if a team, I don't know if it's teams figuring it out or if it's him getting in his own head or what, but he just seems to fall apart as series go along.
I would think it's definitely like him getting. Well, I mean, it could be a mix of both. It most likely is a mix of both. But there's times where it looks like he's getting in his head, like against the Celtics. Some of the bad games where he was just very close to the rim. You know, you've had struggles at the rim, but that doesn't mean you can just completely stop. Like, you still have to make an effort to get there, to make the defense respect you. You know, to be able to bend defenses. That's what you are. You're a point guard, right? You know, so. And he's supposed to be a scorer as well as a distributor. So
he needs a therapist or something to help him get to those games, because I don't know what it is. It just sneaks up on him, and it seems like he just can't do anything in those moments, and I don't know why. And it sucks because as much as I talk shit, I do like Harden. I would love to see Harden win a ring. I just don't see it happening, honestly. I feel like I've seen it, and that's what annoys me is every year people are like, well, actually, if you did that, we've seen it for 8 years in Houston. We're seeing it now. Like, at some point the excuses get kind of annoying, and that you just gotta accept he's just not the one to show up in those big moments.
I feel like in game 7 against Boston, he would drive a lot to the cup and then throw it out to Daniel House or PJ Tucker or Tyrese Maxey, and like we all saw it, you know what I mean? And like Christian said, like you're still like a great scorer. Like, you're not gonna be the same elite 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021 Harden, but like you're still very good. And I think that like I feel like a lot of people hate on Harden because it's easy. I feel like I'm one of those people that like I could play devil's advocate on both sides. Like, I can acknowledge his playoff failures, but at the same time, I could still say that James Harden at the peak, he was still good enough to be the number 1 option on a championship team. And I think we all saw that, you know, like Harden playoff blunders is like 13, 14, 15 to an extent, yes and no, 16 and 17. But 16, I know Steph was hurt for a couple of games, and like they were in AC. The Rockets were just inconsistent all year round. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but
the Rockets were never winning that series.
No. Yeah. And then 18, obviously, he was fantastic. 2019 against the Warriors, he averaged 35. 2020 in the bubble. It was funny because that Rockets-Lakers series, so Erik tweeted out, so I've been following Erik for like 6-7 years now, but Erik, during that Rocket-Lakers series, he tweeted out, we all know James Harden's going to have one of those games where he shoots like 3 of 15, and it's going to cost them. And I think it was game 2 or game 3 that he shot that, and the Rockets were like still in it. I thought that was pretty funny. And then 2021...
I'm not gonna lie. That makes sense why stuff like that, why I tweet shit like that is why a lot of Rockets fans got me blocked. And I get it, to be honest. I just like so many of them have me blocked and I get it. Like I remember there was like 2 Rockets group chats like 2 years ago. People were trying to add me to it and they couldn't because like 8 different people in them had me blocked.
When you start telling the truth, they say that like, oh, you're lying, this and that. Like, I hate that. You know what I mean?
I do probably go a bit overboard though, sometimes.
2021, in my opinion, was his second best shot at a ring. He finally is gonna play Giannis. You know, Harden versus Giannis in the playoffs, and then boom, he just gets a hammy injury. He was just never the same player. I think James Harden in Brooklyn
Kyrie got the ankle too.
And then Kyrie got the ankle too. Like James Harden in 2021 was a very elite player. Like he was phenomenal. I thought he was no, I think 18, 19, 20 were his 3 best years, but 2021, I think that's his most underrated version. But James Harden's to Phoenix, maybe another super team. What do we think, fellas?
How would they even do that? Is that trading Chris Paul and then just
sign and trade? Probably, yeah.
I mean,
I'm
sure.
I don't know if that really makes
okay, but
I don't know if that makes either team really better. But I mean, it probably makes the Suns better, but they'd probably have to give up other stuff. So I don't know.
I think the Suns' window is over, man. Not gonna lie. I don't think
Really?
it started.
I don't know.
I listen, man. That team right now, I know they got Frank Vogel, and he's a great defensive coach, and they still got Kevin Young on the staff, but I don't know, man. Kevin Durant, 36 years old.
To be fair, their 2 best players are 2 players you don't like. So I don't know if you can really be objective.
What?
On this.
I'm very objective, man. Come on now.
Yeah. Okay.
Christian is looking at me like he's right.
Booker was putting up like 45, 43, 42 in back-to-back games, and Andres is in the group chat. This guy fucking sucks. Like he's talking shit about him. Like I don't know. It's just funny seeing whenever Andres has like an agenda against somebody, it does not matter what they do because he will never give them credit.
What do you? I mean, one day we'll tell the truth about Kevin Durant, bro. One day.
Brother.
Am I wrong? We just saw Jimmy Butler lead 2 different, well, not lead per se, but he was the best player on 2 different teams that just made the finals. Kevin Durant only did it once.
I rest my case.
Yeah, fair enough, man.
I rest my case. Nah, I feel like when it comes to that, when it comes to Kevin Durant, I just don't like the lies that are told about him, bro. That top 5 all time, top 10 all time.
A lot of these
like,
fans go very overboard.
Yeah. And then the whole situation with all the Suns fans saying that he was the best in the world, nasty. I didn't appreciate that.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. Right away they went after that. I was like, man, just very confident, and then it didn't work out. It felt kind of like Brooklyn, but like a little bit worse. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, a little bit worse. I mean, the Suns do have a good fan base, like on Twitter, but I feel like with the Nets, like KD was phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not gonna sit here and say he wasn't, but it just wasn't enough. He had what was he 0 of 7 in that overtime? I think in that game 7.
Yeah,
but
he was.
Yeah, I do feel he's been unlucky. Not gonna lie, but we gotta call a spade a spade. Like Erik said and like Christian said, best ability is availability, and Kevin Durant has just had these freak injuries the last couple years.
I mean, I get,
sure.
But like, who else? And let's pretend they did do a sign and trade for Harden and gave up Chris Paul. Who else would they give up? Because they don't really have much depth as it is. So could they even give up anything else that actually would make them better?
Well, Christian told me that the new CBA kicks in this summer, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it does.
Yeah. So I feel like, oof.
Yeah, I don't know how. I don't know how they can really improve a ton off of where they're at. I feel like
because they don't really have that many picks to trade, right?
Yeah, they traded
gave
a
them
lot
all
for
away
Durant,
for
so
Kevin Durant. Yeah,
I feel like they're kind of in that Sixers thing where I don't see many ways for them to compare. Yeah, but one team I'm excited to see what they do is the Warriors because
excited.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what they do. Like how do you get better from where they're at? Also, like you obviously if you have Steph as your best player, you're gonna be contending because he's that good.
But one thing that's crazy is he's turning 36 next March. Like,
but he doesn't feel like he hasn't slowed down at all. He's still like a top 3, top 5 player in the world.
I would say top 5. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know exactly where he'd be, but like Draymond doesn't look the same. Clay is okay sometimes, but he doesn't really look the same. I don't know if Kuminga is ready yet to be like an impact player on a contending team. I don't know if Moody's ready yet for that. Jordan Poole is inconsistent and just straight up looks bad sometimes. Like I legitimately I think it was funny because a lot of people were like trying to make that the whole thing at the beginning of the season when Draymond punched Poole. They're like, that's just sports. That is not a normal thing. I don't care if I sound soft or whatever. Knocking out a teammate is not a normal thing. That's not, oh, that's just another day. That's gonna, you can't act like Jordan Poole just came to the practice the next day and acted like that didn't happen. That's gonna stick with him. And he's gonna feel some type of way about that, no matter how long they're teammates. Like, I hate people who are trying to act like that was a normal thing. And even old NBA players talking about, yeah, that's a normal thing. If that old NBA player, whoever was saying that, had gotten knocked out by his teammate, he would not be feeling like it's just a normal thing and, we're still brothers. No, you're going to feel some type of way about it. And I feel like that impacted the team a little bit this year. I'm not going to lie.
I wouldn't doubt that. I mean, I think anybody who gets like basically not sucker punched, like he was in front of him, you wouldn't expect your teammate to punch you in that situation. I'm sure they draw back and forth all the time, but to go that far, it was like for full force punches is pretty wild. And I definitely think that could have had like some effect. I don't know in what facets of the game, but you know,
man, Poole is so much worse this year than last year, though. It was
yeah. I do think that if the Warriors want to move forward, they have to trade Jordan Poole, though, because it's not working out for him. I mean, like you guys said, he had a terrible year, and like, I don't think it's the same thing as like siblings. You know what I mean? Like you said, Eric, like he didn't just get punched, and like Christian said, like he didn't just get sucker punched. Like he got knocked the fuck out. Like it literally felt like you're watching a UFC fight, and then bang, it just happened. And I don't think that's something like if you were a championship team that just doesn't happen. You know what I mean? And I give credit to Steve Kerr. I'm not saying I don't like him or anything, but like I give credit to Steve Kerr because he finally had the balls to say, oh well, the team was never the same after Draymond punched Jordan Poole at the beginning of the season. Yeah, like no shit, Sherlock. Like it took you this long to say it, but like I'm glad he did say it. But Eric, I know how much you hate the Warriors, so you're probably preying on their downfall.
Nah, I mean, look, I don't really hate Steph. Right. I don't actually hate Steph. I like Steph, to be honest. I didn't like that he beat us every year, but I don't actually dislike Steph or anything. And I always give him like his credit when it comes to like all-time rankings and everything. Draymond does annoy me. The only thing I like about Draymond, I like Draymond's like play style, but him as a person is kind of just annoying to me. Clay, I don't really have an opinion on Clay. Like, I feel like I feel like low key, and this might be, maybe this is making me a hater, but you know, everybody talks about Clay is the most funny, like, dude who's not trying to be funny. I feel like he is trying to be funny, though. Like, I feel like he's doing that stuff on purpose. He's purposefully being awkward to get those, like, laughs out, you know? Maybe that's just me, though. I don't know. But I don't think making an effort to be funny is a bad thing either. That's why people act like, oh, if you try to be funny, I've never understood that either. Like, if you try and be funny and you're funny, then who cares? Like, it's weird to me. I don't know. I don't get it. I'm going on a rant about nothing right now. But
it's okay, man. I mean, we'll see. I think this is going to be the first summer that the NBA is going to be really interesting because every summer we have a star player ask out. This summer, maybe it's Damian Lillard, maybe it's someone else out of left field because, like, I feel like last year everyone knew that Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert was asking out, so that really wasn't out of left field. But we'll see what happens. Oh, and Kevin Durant was out of left field actually.
I gotta ask you, Christian. I know you're a big draft guy and stuff, and you were telling me about a couple of prospects to check out. What do you think Blazers are gonna do at 3? Like
ultimately, I think that they trade it.
Trade 3, okay.
Yeah, I think they trade 3. I don't know how close to the draft they will because I mean it's coming up like at the end of the month. They have to make a decision pretty soon, and it's like a franchise altering decision. I think that they should take pick number 3, whether it's Scoot, Eamon Thompson, Brandon Miller. I think that those would all be pretty good young pieces next to the young pieces that they already have. So I mean, and then try to trade Dame. That's what I would do, and then try to get a lot of value from him. Speed up your rebuild.
That's what I feel like you got.
That's so much easier said than done.
Yeah, you got the 2 routes of going with Dame and trying to get a couple more years out of that, or just trading Dame, getting assets, going through a rebuild. And I feel like with Dame and whatever assets you get out of 3, still won't be good enough to contend. So I feel like you just got to try and go full rebuild.
I feel like what Christian said is true because like what we could do as fans and what the GM wants to do is different because maybe the GM is thinking, hey, Damian Lillard is putting, I don't know, let's say 60,000. Damian Lillard is putting 60,000 in my pocket every single game, every single home game that he sells out. So maybe he's content with that. And a lot of owners are content with being like mediocre. Like he's fine being the 7A seed. But then on the other hand, you got to look at yourself and be like, listen, this kid is sadly, I think he's 33 in July 15. That's 3 days before mine. So he's going to be 33 in July. We have a top 3 pick. What the hell are we going to do? Us as fans, obviously, we want to see the smart thing to do, which is to rebuild. But at the same time, the GM and the owner's probably thinking, hey, he's putting money in my pocket. I'm sleeping well.
Yeah. I think if the Hornets do actually go Brandon Miller and Scoot is available at 3, I feel like it's a no-brainer for the Blazers. You try and take Scoot at 3 and try and build around like him and Shaedon Sharpe and stuff. And then also, like, if you're the Raptors, I feel like it's a no-brainer that you try and trade up for Scoot. You trade Siakam, you trade whatever to try and move up to 3 because, like, I feel like if Scoot's available at 3, Blazers would be dumb not to take Scoot, but also other teams would be dumb to not try and trade everything to get Scoot. So, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a little too high on Scoot, but I think he's that good.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, especially nothing against Dame. I think he was like probably the third best offensive player this year when healthy. I just don't know how realistic it is that they build a good enough roster for him to win a championship. And also, like you said, he's 33. He's got a giant contract, so it might look bad towards the end of the contract. Who knows? He might still be pretty good, but I would take my odds with the young guys going a little bit further.
Easily.
Yeah. So
I heard they want Tyler Hero, so they need a leader in that locker room. So
Tyler Hero.
My sources are saying Heat sign and trade for Jeremy Grant.
What? Bro, Jeremy Grant is funny because he wanted to be the number 1 option. He was the number 1 option. He got paid. He was like, you know what? I don't want to be the number 1 option. Then he became the number 3 option. Then he got traded to Portland, and his career is funny. But hey, listen, he got paid. He's sleeping well at night, right?
Exactly.
That's all that matters. Nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, so I brought this up because Christian was gonna be here. Christian, you sent in a group chat that Spo might be the best coach ever. Obviously, I agree with that statement because Phil Jackson could not lead Gabe Vincent and Max Strus to the finals, but I'm sure Spo could lead MJ, Pippen, Shaq, and Kobe to the finals. Are we crazy for thinking that Erik Spoelstra is the greatest coach of all time already?
I mean, I don't think it's crazy. I think it's debatable, no matter what you want to say, or depending on what you value from a coach. Like, I was saying it's a possibility because I think he just gets the most out of every single player, and that's what you want out of a coach. Like, he's good at X's and O's. He's good as a player coach. He's good at adjustments. He's good at knowing exactly what to do in each type of moment. So I feel like you go down all the check marks, he fills them all out. So do some other coaches, like you said, Phil Jackson, Greg Popovich. If you want to go back, Red Auerbach, they said that he was pretty great. I'm not sure of what he did, but some other guys too. So
Red Auerbach, X and O's.
Yeah, exactly, man. So I feel like it's up for debate, no matter what your criteria is. But yeah, I think he's up there.
Eric, what do you think about Mr. Erik Spoelstra?
I don't know who, I've never thought of, a top 5 coaches ever, but I feel like...
But I think that's the top 5, though, right?
Spoelstra would, I think, be top 5, probably. I mean, he's been pretty incredible, and that's why it annoyed me, I guess, a few years ago, is whenever people were always like, man, LeBron's never played for a good coach. You see people say
if you really think... I'll let you finish. Hold on. Finish.
No, I just think it's ridiculous. It's Spoelstra was, he's been one of the best coaches since he kind of stepped into being a coach, and... I don't know. I felt like that was always disrespectful. And even now, the last few years, we've seen what he's been doing. And that's why I will even say, I kind of go back on what I was saying a couple days ago, Christian, about the Harden stuff, because I do think I was underrating Spoelstra's impact he's having on this team and how it's helping Jimmy lead the team and everything. Because Spoelstra, I feel like coaching impact can't be understated. I feel like it's such a big deal. And that's why, especially after seeing a Steven Silas team all year, I'm realizing how important coaching is. It's crazy. It definitely it's a lot of the hidden impact stuff that you might not see instantly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's definitely true. I mean, like you said, it's whether you see it when you're watching, if you see it, your favorite tweeter drew it up. Oh, said this coach did that. I feel like Spoelstra's always at the top.
Yeah.
I mean, He does a lot of great things. He might not have the exact same resume as some of the others because, to be fair, even without LeBron, he hasn't had the greatest of rosters. He's, like I said, made with what he's given. So, that's all you can ask, and I think that gives him, at least a top 5 spot.
Yeah.
So, this is not a question, but more so like a statement for both of you guys. Who do you guys think has more mileage on their body, Jimmy or Harden?
Harden, probably. I would assume Harden.
They both had some injuries, but I think Jimmy's just more athletic in general too. So I feel like it's probably Harden, and those injuries affect him more because when you're not as athletic, you losing the little athleticism you had it's debilitating basically.
Right, because like you look at Jimmy and Harden, and they're the same age. And you look at Jimmy just dropped 56. He had a 40-point game against the Bucks. I think he had 2 of them. And like Harden's the same age. You know what I'm saying? So well, to be fair to Harden, like you said, Christian, like once you stop being athletic, you have to find other ways to like impact the game. And now that he's not the same that he was a few years ago, obviously he still has to look at it. I did think about it like that. Yeah.
I will say also, like, as much like if we're talking like mileage, like wear and tear on their body and everything.
Yeah.
I will say Jimmy has had the luxury, maybe not luxury. He's been able to the last few years like kind of coast through the regular season. Harden was never a guy who would coast through the regular season though. He would give his all every game, and I think that matters kind of on wear and tear. Like if someone who's coasting more so, they're gonna get less wear and tear and mileage on their body than someone who's trying to go drop 40 every game.
Yeah, but you gotta remember Jimmy was coached by Tibbs for a lot of years, and he played 82 games.
That's fair.
That's why I was like, I think it's very close. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
another thing to add though. Jimmy did come into superstardom a little bit later than most. I think it was probably like around 2016 when he came into superstardom, maybe around there.
Yeah,
so
16, 17.
He was a late bloomer.
Yeah, Harden was like 2013, his first year with the Rockets. He was already dropping.
He averaged 25 that year, right? That year,
25. So like his first year with the Rockets, which was only his 4th year in the league, he was already kind of like, he was already looked at as a guy who should in the future be a number 1 on a championship.
Yeah, and then team. 2 years later he could have won the MVP. I guess their careers are like similar in a sense because like bro, like I feel like we as fans we underestimate and undervalue the mileage on their body. Like obviously LeBron is not a good example because he's been playing 20 years, but you look at guys like Melo. Melo from 04 to 14 he was a starter, or 04 to 15, and then when he went to OKC, which was like after 12-13 years, like he was washed, so like I feel like we're very harsh, like not us, but like the casual fan, you know what I'm saying? Like it brings you out a lot. It brings a lot of you, like you guys, for example, not to be an asshole, but like I don't know how you guys are still breathing after those Rocket Warriors series, like stressing every single game, every single minute. Like people don't really like to talk about the 2019 series, but James Harden was carrying that team by himself, even against the Warriors. Like if CP3 was healthy, like he was in 2018, I think they would have beat them. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, there's no ifs and sports, and I get it. But every single game in that Warriors-Rocket series was probably decided by like less than 6-5 points, And then Steph Curry had the scoreless first half, and the second half he goes berserk. Like James Harden has been so unlucky. Like not to be an asshole, not to take you guys down memory lane, but like it's the truth. We can call it a spade. Like you could say that he's had playoff failures, but at the same time he's been very unlucky. And sometimes you need luck to win. But
don't quote me on this, but Andre Iguodala was like 6 for 9 in that game 6-2 from 3, which is ridiculous. I was like every single time he hit when it was like a dagger to the heart.
Dude, yeah. I don't know. The way I cope with being a fan in moments like that is I legit tell myself, like I remember after game 7, 2018, I was watching with some friends, and literally when we lost that game, I just went outside and started playing basketball with friends. I was like, sports don't even matter, bro. Like I shut my brain off completely. I'm like, sports, like, do they really matter though at the end of the day? And
it's the truth though, because bro, it's the same thing with the Lakers Heat. After we lost to the Lakers, people are like, oh, you should be grateful you made it this far. Nobody had you coming here. I'm like, dude, what? No. That's one thing that I wanted to touch upon. There's no guarantees in the NBA, bro. Like, the NBA has become a sport where, just like the NFL and baseball, you don't know if you're going to be back the next year. We lost to the Lakers, and then we got swept in the first round the next year. Last year... This year we're in the finals again. I don't want to talk about last year.
But like Christian's got literally probably my favorite tweet ever. It was that being happy is overrated tweet.
Bro, I still have it.
I think I have it bookmarked.
I still have it bookmarked. Yeah. Being happiness is overrated. No way.
Okay, I found it instantly.
No,
I
it's
don't have-
happiness.
I have like
somewhere.
5 things bookmarked. It says being happy is overrated. Like, who decided that it should be the goal? Sadness is realistic and should be expected.
Yeah.
That's so
It's-
bad. That shit is so.
Dude, I don't know
think-
what I was on when I tweeted that.
Bro, after Argentina lost to Saudi Arabia, I tweeted that. I was like, this is my mood right now.
God. You
quoted
tweeted that
it a
on
couple
January
times.
12th, 2020. So what the hell happened that day to make you tweet that? It was at
Go ahead, go
it was
ahead.
3:24 p.m. on. Like, what were you going through when
It
you
was
tweeted that?
Andres, you know,
January 12th, 2020.
I have no idea.
it was
Well, it was probably a Rockets game because the season wasn't canceled yet.
no, it was I think it was my last game as a Texans fan.
Oh,
it
yeah.
was a
Was that when we
comeback.
blew 24-0 lead?
What's it called? Yeah, 224
Yes,
point
that
lead
was
against,
when it was.
Yeah, that's what I figured
bro.
it was. I wasn't sure,
Holy
but
shit.
that's funny.
That
was
is
the all-time tweet.
true. That was the funniest shit ever. Even that, like, whenever that game was happening, I was legit like, I was losing my mind. So happy. That's probably one of the happiest I've ever been watching a game. And then we were losing after we were up 24-0, and I was literally like,
Bro,
I was
like,
literally
never
like, this
feeling
shit doesn't
like
matter.
it's
Who cares about sports anyway?
you couldn't
I'm
even
just gonna-
blink. If
Bro,
you
I was
blinked,
literally
you lost
like-
it.
I never go out to like bars and drink, but that night I was like, about to just go out. I'm about to hit up some friends, see if they want to go drink at it. I was like, fuck this, man. I was so.
Yeah.
Oh, so-
You literally like trick yourself. It's like, oh, it doesn't even matter. I can literally just live my life.
Literally,
oh my
bro.
god. Yeah,
Like,
that's
bro,
the,
like
that's the
my-
bad part about Twitter is you get on Twitter though and you're reminded of it like 50 times. You
Yeah.
stay off Twitter and you can just keep telling yourself.
You
it doesn't
lose your
matter.
mind though. Like what? Like
Mm.
listen, I'm not gonna say I'm addicted to Twitter. Like I spend a lot of time on Twitter, so like you're just saying the same thing over and over and over. So like after we lost Game 6 against Boston, Derek White, Derek White, Derek White, Derek White, Derek White, and I'm like, dude, can I escape this shit? I turn on the local news. Oh, Derek White had a game winner tonight in the Game 6, and I'm like, dude, really? Like you couldn't escape it. But while we're on the topic of Spoelstra, Eric, and Christian, well, no, Christian. So Christian, he's gonna be our judge today. So I told Eric, or we were making a discussion that Team World, not by country, but Team World has caught into Team USA. So Eric, so wait, Christian, keep in mind both of these teams are being coached by Erik Spoelstra. So Eric, what is your
Okay.
10 for Team USA?
All right, so I could switch it around a bit, and also you like a couple players could be substituted in and out, and also you could swap like bench and starting. But this is just how I went with it. So point guard
Okay.
Steph, shooting guard Jimmy Butler, small forward Tatum, power forward I went Kawhi, and then center I went Anthony Davis. And then my 5 bench was Lillard, Ja Morant, LeBron, Durant, and Adebayo.
Hmm.
That's my
That's
bench.
a very. I mean,
You
That's
could
a great team.
swap in and out a bit, like a couple. Like I know I saw someone say like De'Aaron Fox because I was talking to someone in a group chat and they were saying like De'Aaron Fox after this year should be on there, but I don't think he's like top 10 yet for that.
No.
yeah,
And
no.
then Donovan Mitchell.
And it's kind of weird to see. It's kind of weird to see Ja on there right now too.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I don't know if I should. I was thinking about swapping him out for Donovan Mitchell, but I was like, you know what? When Ja plays, though, we know how good he
he
is.
might be a flight risk trying to go to the other countries.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's my 10 though. But
All right,
That's a
got-
great team.
I got Luka Doncic, point guard, shooting guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, small forward Giannis Antetokounmpo, power forward Nikola Jokic, my center Joel Embiid. Then I got Jamal Murray, Rudy Gobert, Pascal Siakam, Andrew Wiggins, and Kristaps Porzingis. I decided not to count Kyrie because he's Australian, but he wanted to play for Team USA, so I decided to not count him. So, Christian, both of
Okay.
these teams are coached by Erik Spoelstra.
look, I just
What-
want to make my case real quick. His
Oh my
starting 5 shits on my starting 5, but my bench absolutely destroys his bench. And I feel like the gap in
Fair.
bench is bigger than the gap in the starting 5. That's all I'm
But
saying.
when the
That's-
playoffs start, it's your best 8 players, baby.
All right, then take out Ja and take out Bam, and we're running it still.
Wow.
Like we're
Yeah,
running it.
So,
I
Christian, would you
literally
agree
have
with
to
the
look at
notion?
it on paper. Go ahead.
Would you agree with the notion that Team World is catching up to Team USA?
For sure. I think it's catching up because I feel like Team World has always had like, top players. It feels like they haven't had like depth like they have on your squad because there's like legit all-stars on the bench for your team. They're not like as Eric said, it's not as good as what Team USA is being, but they're definitely closing the gap. My concern for Team World would be fit. Obviously, it's some of the best players in the world, so they're going to figure it out. But Luka and Shai, who both love to have the ball, both bigger guards, they hold it for a lot of time. Erik Spoelstra is coaching the team though, so I don't know. I'm prone to believe that he could get anybody to buy into his system. I don't know how long it would take to adjust, but I think the fit concerns would be more so than USA. I think I would lean USA. Like, I wouldn't be confident about it. Anything could happen and just snap of the fingers and, Team World could be like, oh, we just clicked on all cylinders. But I would probably lean Team World. And we said it's a 7-game series, right?
Yeah, 7-game series.
For sure, 7 games. I feel like people overrate whenever they see like graphics like that. They're like, "Oh, USA in 5, USA in 4, USA this."
Yeah,
bro, it is the highest level of talent. They are not gonna be beating the crap out of these teams. I'm telling you, no matter what.
Man, it is crazy how much link Team World has though, because like Jokic, Giannis, and Embiid are all just in your starting lineup, and then you're soon gonna be most likely adding Wembanyama to that. Like, that is ridiculous amount of link.
Yeah, that's insane.
Team.
Yeah, if you how tall is Shai? Is Shai short?
I think
6'5".
6'5". Yeah, I think 6'5".
Oh, so damn, he's tall. Holy shit.
Yeah,
but
man.
you put Wembanyama in there, you got like 4 7-footers and Luka.
Bro.
Yeah.
And
that would be insane.
And like, if we're talking just pure skill on per each player, like
pure
Jokic,
hoop.
Jokic, Embiid, Giannis, and Luka are like 4 of the top, probably like 6 skilled players in the world. Like, that's crazy that they have all them. That's why I think Team World's starting lineup is better, but I don't think they have the depth yet. Like, they don't have as many. But I think in 5 years, you probably look at it and you'll probably take Team World over Team USA.
That's fair.
Yeah, no offense to Andrew Wiggins, but seeing him on there is it's a little.
That's
bit,
what I'm. Yeah, and did you say Siakam or no? You didn't.
Yeah, I did mention Siakam. Yeah,
Siakam's.
Yeah, I mean Andrew Wiggins can get replaced with Wembanyama, so we can call that a spade.
Yeah, facts.
That's man.
I feel like when it comes to Wemby, I genuinely feel like he's not gonna fail. I genuinely do.
Yeah, I mean,
he has all the
the only
tools.
way I can see it would be like injuries.
I want him to be good, but man, this is the most I've ever felt like that shit was rigged. Everyone knew that shit was going to San Antonio. Like, I don't know a single person who thought it wasn't going to San Antonio.
Yeah, it was.
And that's why which granted, they have every right to be like this, but whenever I saw some Spurs fans I'm cool with, and they're like, let's go, I was like, man, shut the fuck up. You knew y'all were doing that. Like, shut up, bro. Like, I was so annoyed. Oh, I was on vacation, and my whole family's inside watching a movie. I'm like, I'll be right back. Put it on my phone and watching it, and they said they heard me outside, just go, fuck, and just yell. And I walked back inside, they were like, so how'd we do? Like, I was
bro, and like an hour before
yeah, bro, like third, I would have been so fine with third. Fourth is okay because Amen Thompson's still a dog.
Yeah,
as long as it wasn't 5 or 6 was my main thing. 5 or 6, and I would have been done with the sport for a little bit.
Speaking of 5 or 6, I want to give a shout out to Monty Williams because my man got paid and he has no pressure of winning. That's black excellence right there. Shout out to Monty Williams. Shout out to Monty Williams for getting a bag and not having to deal with that shit in Phoenix. But listen, you got but it was funny because an hour before the draft, I literally said, what have the Spurs done to get the number 1 pick? And then bang, it just happened.
That is crazy if you think about it. They were bad for 1 year, get David Robinson. Then they were bad for 1 year, get Tim Duncan. Then they were bad for 1 year, get Wembanyama. Like, how the fuck are they that lucky, man?
That's like
crazy.
Three of the top 10 center prospects of all time, and I might be like,
dude, it's ridiculous.
Or big man prospects. If you don't want to call Tim Duncan a center, I think he's a center.
No, you power forward center, whatever. Same thing. Big man. You could even say big man, and it still counts. But like, it's just fuck, man. It was so predictable too, and that's why I've legitimately, even after Lakers jumped in the lottery to get 2-3 straight years, whatever it was, I was still like, oh, it could be whatever. Spurs getting number 1 sent me over the top though. I was like, this shit is, bro. Adam Silver Oh my god! And did you see that shit where he even said like luck was on their side because they did 3 practice draws or whatever, and it was all the Spurs?
Right.
I'm like, so why would you even admit that? Like, keep that under wraps. You're just like fuck.
Unreal.
And I saw one Rockets fan. I just want to say I saw another Rockets fan because a month ago or whatever they did that coin flip where we actually had like the second odds or whatever, and they had the third. And one Rockets fan was like, "It's crazy that a coin flip gave them Wemby and not us." I'm like, you got to be delusional to think that's what gave them Wemby. Like that is not what changed anything. That us losing that coin flip, we don't have Wemby right now either. Like it does not work like that. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah.
Fuck, man. Sorry. I'm so annoyed. Whatever. Amin Thompson, he's going to be a dog. We're fine.
Yeah. We're cooling.
You got the Spurs, the Hornets, the Blazers, you guys, and then the Pistons. Is this draft like really good? Because like the top 4 prospects are really good, and then top 5, I know a lot of Pistons fans were upset that they didn't get a top 4 pick.
I mean, he knows more than I do, but I do think like even Pistons falling to 5. I think if they get like Oscar Thompson or Cam Whitmore, I think that's a good pick for them. Like Cam Whitmore, I really want to see him go to the Pistons.
Yeah, that would be pretty good. Like, I think it's a really good top heavy draft because we obviously have one of the greatest prospects of all time. I think Scoot Henderson could have gone 1 in a lot of other years. I think he's just going to be a tremendous point guard. Like, I think he's going to lead a franchise one day. And I honestly, I think any team that's passing on him at 2 is probably wrong. No offense to Brandon Miller. That's also a great prospect. I think that he's, firmly pretty, number 3 or 4 to me. But yeah, it's a pretty good draft at the top. I think most of the guys who are smarter than me say, it's not an extremely deep draft as far as like star potential, but I think I was saying this before. A lot of the drafts now they produce a lot of role players more so than they did nowadays. A lot of players who are like less of negatives on the court, and you can pretty much always play these guys. So that's pretty good. It feels like development as far as the NBA. It could be a little better. People are like, oh, they go to AAU too much. They don't have as much skill as the Euro teams. But I feel like as far as IQ and being able to be on the court, be shooters and stuff like that, this is a really good shooting draft too. So I think it's a pretty good draft overall, and something that a lot of teams who are in the lottery should probably do.
Yeah, we talked about it. And Rockets fans like at 20 seem obsessed with Derek Lively. Like it seems like they care more about getting him there than they do almost care about who they're going to get at 4. Like it's crazy how obsessed some Rockets fans seem with getting him. Which I get. I like him. The stuff I've seen I like, but like I don't know if I'm that high on him to where like that's a make or break part of the draft.
I think it has a little bit to do with the Harden rumors. They're like, oh, get him a lob center who can, defend and then maybe shoot a little bit. So I feel like that's why they're feeling that way.
I'm gonna be real. I don't think we get Harden.
Would you guys take him back?
I think he stays in Philly. Or
would you take him back?
Go
ahead.
I feel like I wouldn't be upset if we got him, I guess, but I wouldn't personally do it.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Especially, it matters the price point. Like we obviously need a point guard, and he's probably the best one on the market. But giving, what is he, 34, 35? Yeah,
I think he's 34. I think he's 34 this year. I think he's 89. I think it was 1989.
Okay, yeah. So he's 34 this year.
He's 1989. He's 34 this year. Yeah.
Okay, so 34 this year. He's had a little bit of some injury issues as far as hamstrings and feet and stuff like that the last couple of years. So I feel like it's it's not a great investment to give him $200 million or 4 years. I would probably give him a little bit less than the max and see if he would accept 3 years, but I don't think that he would. Not like you said, he should probably just stay in with the Sixers if that's what he's getting offered.
I feel like the pretty obvious, smarter decision or route to go is just either take Amin or try and trade up for Scoot. I feel like that makes the most sense for the Rockets where they're at right now, instead of paying Harden, where by his second or third year on the contract, you don't know how he'll be. Like I don't think he'll necessarily be a bad player because he's still, even by the end of whatever his next contract is, he'll still probably be a fantastic passer, which is what we need the most. But I don't know. I just don't know if it fits. like where we're at with our team. I don't know. If
He's
that's what
still
we
a
need.
borderline like top 20 player to me, honestly. Like I don't think I can name 20 players better. So
Yeah, he definitely makes us better. And since we don't have our own pick next year,
Oh yeah,
it makes sense to get him because he does make us a lot better and wins us a lot more games.
Yeah.
But
it's not a 1-year contract, so it
yeah,
doesn't
and that's
feel
my
that
thing
good.
is also a lot of Rockets fans keep being like, we've got to win next year because we don't have our pick.
Yeah.
I'll take a long-term better plan for one worse year, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
and also next year's draft doesn't seem to be the best. So like,
Yeah, I
I'm not
honestly don't
afraid of
care
it.
what we
you
give
don't
OKC. Like,
you don't want LeBron and Bronny? Wow.
We can get him like what with that Nets pick later on. It probably like I don't think he'll be a top 5 pick or anything, but I do think his teammate
LeBron is for real.
Bro, his teammate though, Isaiah Collier, I think he's gonna be insane. USC guy,
He's pretty good. Yeah,
but I don't know. I'm not. I wouldn't hate it, but I wouldn't love it either. That's how I'm at.
Mhm.
Hate it or love it. We're excited. It's gonna be an interesting summer for a lot of teams. So we got you covered on the pod.
Yeah,
but,
Woj was saying it might be like the most active trading summer in a long time, right?
yeah,
CBA.
because of the new CBA. Yeah, bro. I'm excited to see. Like it's the same thing with like, bro. But what pisses me off, not to be biased, because obviously Damian Lillard is one of my favorite players, but like the Portland and the Washington situation is not the same at all. Like the Wizards just paid Beal for no reason. You know, like he hadn't done anything. They only won like 2 playoff series. At least the Blazers got to like the conference finals. And did they peak? Absolutely. But at the same time, like Damian Lillard has done a lot for that franchise compared to like Bradley Beal. So you could say I see the analogy, but at the same time, I don't think it is like at all. You know. But
No,
I feel so bad for any Wizards fans. Like that team. Is
hell
just-
no, they're
Nah, I feel like
It looks like they're gonna pay Porzingis and Kuzma this offseason too.
I just like
I want
feel like
Kuzma on
it
the
was
Heat, man.
it was so blatantly obvious to anyone that they should trade Beal, and yet they still paid him. Like for what reason, bro?
Moving on to our last topic, señoras y señores, it's the Champions League final. It's finally here. I will never root for Inter Milan, not even with a gun to my head. So I cannot support those guys. So even though Manchester City whooped our ass, I still have them winning the final. Eric, what are your thoughts on this game?
I think it's Man City, so they'll always find a way to choke in Champions League. But also, this Man City team is nuts. Like they're running everything, and if they win, won't they be the second English team ever to get a treble?
They'll be the second English team to win a treble after United did it in '99, and Pep will become the first and only manager to win the treble twice.
So I don't know. I think it's hard to. I think you're just kind of rooting against Man City if you say you think Inter is gonna win. That's just how I see it. I don't see a realistic way Man City loses this. I think they're just flat out better.
Christian, I know Chelsea let you down this year, but I know you've been more tuned into soccer now, so.
Yeah, I mean Chelsea let me down. They spent so much too, and they spent
It's crazy, right? Imagine if in the NBA if they spent money like that.
Yeah, that was wild, and it didn't work. Like the different managers, no matter what they did, it just didn't work. So I feel like they need to I don't know, they need to do something. But I've got Man City winning. Like they're clicking on all cylinders right now. Just won the Premier League. I mean, I you can say they've choked before in UCL, and they have. But I feel like they've definitely, they have Holland now, so that's a big difference. And they Gundogan's doing pretty well too, right?
Yeah, they've been the last I think 20 games they've had like 16 wins or something. They've been fantastic.
Yeah, they're insane. And then they've won like 5 or 6 of the last 7 Premier Leagues too?
5 of the last 6, yeah.
5 of the last 6, yeah, that's kind of crazy. So they're pretty dominant. I think they're gonna win. I mean, it would be cool to see Lukaku win, but
bro, did you see the thing about Lukaku and what's her face?
Stallion?
Yes,
Yeah,
bro. I was
man.
surprised.
I'm like, if he gets a little boost, he might get a little hat trick there.
Oh my god,
bro, it was funny because I think it was American Twitter found out. They were like, "Oh, look at Meg Thee Stallion's new man," and everyone in football Twitter was like, "What the hell?" We were all.
bro, that is funny as hell.
Very
Okay,
funny to
let's
see,
let's throw a hypothetical out there real quick, Andres.
Okay. Oh my
Champions
God.
League final. The game ends 2-0. Man City wins. Haaland scores both goals. All right.
Okay.
Does Haaland deserve the Ballon d'Or?
No.
Oh my God, this guy, bro.
So who would your vote go to?
You know who it would go to. He a messy little.
Am I wrong though?
Yes.
I mean,
What?
It's Haaland.
it just doesn't feel like obviously the World Cup. That
World
helps.
Cup.
Yeah, I mean, it's just maybe it's a little recency bias, but like just from top to bottom, I think maybe Haaland has the edge on him. I might give it to Mbappe as well, but his teammate. So
Bro, but listen, if you really think about it, right? The World Cup happens one time every 4 years, and you have the luxury of like representing your country. When you play for your country, you don't get to pick what players you play with. When you pick your club, you get to pick. Well, you yourself don't get to pick, but like you're surrounded by a lot of players. Like, so not to be an asshole, but Eric knows this. If Messi lost a World Cup final, everyone would have been like, "Oh, he's not the GOAT. How can he be the GOAT with 2 World Cup finals lost? This and that." But now that he won, it's only a 7-game tournament. He finally won it. This and that. Like, you can't have it both ways. You know what I mean? Like,
no.
And this season, he's had 34 goals, 27 assists, 17 man of the matches, man of the match in every single knockout game at the World Cup. He got man of the match in five World Cup games, which is the most ever. He won his second World Cup Ballon d'Or. No one else has won more than one, and he did it across 2 different decades. Like, it's gotta amount for something. And I don't know if he personally wants to win it, but like, we've seen the treble happen numerous times, and the people that won the treble that year didn't necessarily win the Ballon d'Or per se. In 2002, Ronaldo scored 7 goals for his club. He went to the World Cup with Brazil. He scored 8 goals, and he won the Ballon d'Or. In 2006, Fabio Cannavaro, he had a PR stunt because he was like, "Oh, defenders never win the Ballon d'Or." Italy won the World Cup, and he won the Ballon d'Or. So like,
but you stopped there, because I remember when I asked you about this, we talked about 2010, 2014, 2018, and your argument was, but people thought he should have won. But in the last 3, that person didn't win. So why does that automatically go straight to Messi this time?
I'm glad you said that. In 2010, Xavi and Iniesta, they even told themselves, they were looking at each other, that they were like, we're not even supposed to be here. Like, Messi should win it outrightfully. And he should have won, and he did win it outrightfully. In 2014, Ronaldo wins the Champions League. He gets sent home in the group stage. Neuer wins the World Cup, and who did they give the Ballon d'Or to? Ronaldo. And I didn't see anyone crying about that. Hold on, I'm not finished. In 2018, Luka Modric wins the excuse me. Luka Modric wins the Champions League. He drags Croatia to the World Cup final, and everyone was crying because it should have been Griezmann. He didn't win the Champions League with Atletico, and I mean, he was the best player for France. Honestly, yes and no. It could have been a couple players, but there was no outrage then, though. So why is there outrage now?
I don't think there's outrage. I think you could argue Messi should, but didn't you yourself say that Man City is like one of the best teams ever this year?
I would say I think they're still better last year, but this year they've been so good, man.
And don't you gotta think, like, Haaland shattered the goal record for Premier League. Then he wins the FA Cup. Then, if he wins the Champions League while scoring in the final, while being like the best striker in the world, pretty much, because yes, we can say Mbappe, whatever, but Haaland, what he's doing is like unheard of. At what point? Let me say, yes, we know what Messi did. Nobody's trying to take away from that. I don't think me and Christian would ever like say that Messi wasn't incredible in the World Cup, all this. But if we're gonna say that, aren't we essentially saying then that it doesn't matter what happens the rest of the year? Nobody has any chance of winning, because if Haaland can't win doing what he's doing, then how could you win?
Let me raise my hand for that one, because I have an answer. They changed the Ballon d'Or last year to by season. So like,
what does that change though?
So before it was a calendar year.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying, like, how does that change Haaland's case for it though? Because this
Haaland has a case. Don't get me wrong, Haaland has a case, but like, when push comes to shove, he ghosted against us in the semifinals. He ghosted in the final against Manchester United. And I mean, to your point, you said if he does score, but what if he doesn't?
No, if Manchester City loses and he has a horrible game, fair. I think.
No. I'm saying, let's say Manchester City wins and he doesn't score, and KDB assists both goals or something. Shouldn't KDB be in the run
I think KDB should almost always be in the running back.
Yeah, I feel like he's one of the
insane.
best players in the Premier
He's a
League.
Yeah, so
robot.
like I don't disagree.
But no, I get what you're saying.
I do
Like,
too, yeah.
it is
But
a
at the-
slippery slope.
But at the same time, KDB in the World Cup, he came out before the second game and he said we're just not good enough. So why should he be mentioned in Ballon d'Or names when he literally said straight up, "My nation sucks, like we're not good enough"? Luka Modric dragged Croatia to the semifinals again.
Look, I get how important the World Cup is, but I think, and I don't want to be one of those guys who's like, oh, it's just a 7-game tournament, because I don't agree
World
with that.
Cup.
I don't agree with that mindset.
World Cup.
But like, I just think it's unfair to be like, look at what Messi did in the World Cup. He's clearly the Ballon d'Or. And then it feels like you're essentially saying, I don't care what happened in the other 8 months of the season. None of that matters because it's clearly Messi. And I feel like that's just unfair to shut it down completely.
He was the only player to have 20 plus goals and 20 plus assists this season. He had 34
But
goals, 27 assists.
PSG,
Hold on.
like PSG was underperforming all season. You can't
No.
disagree with that.
No. They were underperforming in the second half after the World Cup, after
But
Messi
that
beat
matters.
France.
That matters. And so you know what also matters? It's the
That-
Champions League where they failed.
They had a better team in front of them, though. They were never going to be Bayern.
And you know who
And
doesn't
plus-
have a better team in front of him? Is Haaland. He has not had a better team in front of him. And part of that is
What?
because of him. You can't deny it.
Bro, okay, but you just said, so Christian just said it earlier, right? Man City has won the Premier League 4 out of the last 5 years. What is the difference between adding Haaland to this team?
I think they're better this year than they were. And clearly it kind of shows because look at the Champions League. They've never made it this far before they got
That was
Haaland.
gonna be my point. Yeah.
They never made it this far.
They made the final 2 years ago, bro. And this is the least
Oh, and
amount of
they, yeah,
points.
and they were embarrassed by Chelsea. Chelsea had no right to be there, and Chelsea kind of embarrassed them in it.
And this is the least
Yeah.
amount of points Man City has won the league with.
I think that's also they took their foot off the gas by the end. They started slow. I will say they started slow,
Well,
but
yeah.
But Man City does that every year, though. They start off slow, they make you think you have hope, and then they just win 20 games straight.
so I don't think that hurts. Haaland's
No, I'm not
case.
saying it doesn't hurt his case.
How is that different than what the Miami Heat did this year?
Well, hold on. Nobody,
No, I'm joking.
nobody's calling for Jimmy Butler to be MVP, and everyone hates him now. So I don't even think that's fair. When it comes to
No, I
when it
just had to
comes,
throw a dig.
nah, it was a good dig. But like when you look at it's not Haaland's fault. But you look at the competition this year in the Premier League compared to other years. This year it really wasn't that good because Jurgen Klopp was stubborn. Man United lost their foundation, whatever you want to call it. Arsenal had too many injuries at the end of the season, right? Spurs are gonna spur. Chelsea, I mean, no comment. They really didn't have any competition in the Premier League. I'm not saying that's Haaland's fault. I'm not saying that's Haaland's fault. But Man City has been the most consistent team in Europe in the last 5-6 years.
Okay. Also, though, you're bragging about 20 goals, 20 assists. It's fucking League One, bro. Come on, you can't be using that. It's League One.
it's League One. Now
What do you
it's
mean
League
now?
One.
When has anyone ever said? But it
on,
is
bro.
League One, though. When's anyone ever said that? It's always been. It's fucking League One, though.
But look at the World Cup though. You could
That's
see
what I'm
everything
talking about. You're
everything-
ignoring the other 9 months.
I'm not.
From the
I'm
one
not
thing.
ignoring. Bro, PSG literally won the league because of Messi.
They were. You think? Okay, same argument. Look at all the years past. They won that shit without him.
No, they didn't. Last year they won it because of Messi. He had the winning goal. The previous year before
Oh my
that,
God. They
hold on,
when was
hold
the
on,
last time- When
hold
was the
on.
last time that PSG lost the league?
2 years ago, before
Did
Messi
they?
came. Yes, they did.
Oh shit! Never mind that. I was thinking Bayern. I guess they've won like 11 straight. Never mind then. Fair enough.
So Messi, when he raises number 8 in October, you're gonna
Oh
come back
my
to this and be like, "I was an idiot and I was wrong." Andres, I'm gonna be like, "Thank you, Eric."
No, I will not because I'm not even saying Messi shouldn't win. I'm just saying I think it's
You're
ridiculous
not. You're not pro Haaland. You're just anti Messi.
I'm not anti-Messi. Why do you always think I hate Messi? I just think you're
That's it.
overly pro Messi.
Bro, he's. What do you want me to say? He's the greatest athlete ever. Like, what is there to
This is
say?
the same thing with Durant.
Eric, are you
Booker.
a CR7 fan?
No, I like Messi more than CR7 probably. I don't
Yeah.
necessarily. I didn't really watch either of them in their prime, so I'm not either of them really like. I don't like one more than the other. I guess I lean Messi a little bit, but I don't really care either
He
way.
just hates that I'm biased about it.
No, I just think it's ridiculous how you hate Ronaldo, and you can't
Right.
deny it.
You know, hate is a strong word. I don't think I have hate
Okay,
in my heart. I
you
think I
very
just
strongly dislike Messi or Ronaldo. I mean,
listen, but when it comes to the World Cup, I'm being consistent because I do think it should be Messi, Mbappe, Haaland, and then KDB and Vinicius. If the Ballon d'Or was my paper right now, that would be my top 5. Messi first, Mbappe second, Haaland third, KDB 4, and Vinicius 5.
Can I just say having Vinicius there after like the finishing issues a couple years ago is just jarring to me. Like he's been so good. Like it's
bro, and he's
like it was obviously gonna happen because of all the chances he was creating. Like they were gonna go in at some point, but like just to see it materialize in the player he's become is great.
Bro, and like
Holland doesn't play for a better country though. Sucks that he plays.
He could have played for England. He just chose not to. He was born in England. Look at that.
Shout out to Balogun, by the way. We need to talk about that. Balogun coming to USA. We're cooking up something special over here. 2026. Trust. 2026. We're gonna do something. I feel it. Balogun's gonna be nice for us.
They'll probably make like the quarterfinals or something.
Look, I'll take that. Quarterfinals for a country that everyone disrespects like crazy. Like he filled our weakest position by far. So I think we got to see the draw though, because I feel like USA got a pretty good draw in this last. Yeah, we definitely did, because England was the only one in our group really that, like Wales and Iran or Iraq or whatever it was, like we weren't gonna.
Iran. No, but Iran is a good team, bro.
But we weren't gonna like it would have been massive. It would have been massively disappointing if we lost them. And then didn't we get Netherlands? That kind of sucked because Netherlands are kind of
bro. But like Netherlands didn't really play you guys like we could have won that.
We could have won that game.
Netherlands didn't really play the USA as well because USA just missed like 900 chances, bro.
That's why I think the positions we need to fix most are center back, and striker. And striker, we just got by far our best one now. Center back, as long as we don't put MLS players out there, we should be fine. Which I don't know why they got a fetish for running MLS players out there.
Listen, like I'm a Cancer, so like I'm an emotional person, right?
Oh,
so
brother.
No, listen. I'm being serious right now. Hold on. Hit me up.
Okay, go ahead.
So like seeing the Vinicius stuff, right? Like it literally made me cry because like reading national players, we're talking about Lewis Hamilton, guys in the NBA, like coming out, guys in the NFL coming out and support him, like for all the targeted racism, like that's fucking crazy, bro. You know, and we're never gonna live in a life where there's no racism, honestly, like keeping it 200 with you guys, but like it's just sad that like athletes from the US come out and speak against that shit, you know? And Spain, and listen, racism, it happens in every country, like we're aware of that, you know? And just seeing it every single day, like it really breaks my heart, you know? I'm not saying that because Vinicius plays on my team, I'm just saying in like general terms, like Lewis Hamilton has been a target of it, Neymar has been a target of it, there's so many people that are still a target of it. And like hopefully
you hear some pretty like crazy headlines as far as racism in footy, like almost like I want to say every month. I want to say
it feels like you see it a lot though. Like it's kind of crazy how often it happens.
Yeah, so hopefully Vinny's okay mentally, because like I said, I genuinely don't want to imagine what he's going through, and I could never imagine what he's going through. But like Christian said earlier, Vinny in 2019, he really couldn't finish the Rock, and now he almost had a 25-25 season. So shout out to Vinny, man.
But I feel like being a soccer player alone, like just moving, like, because like USA or like American sports is kind of different. Like you're going from state to state. You're still in America. Like soccer, you could be moving country to country. That's just crazy to think about the way this. Like there was even a quote. It was like Alphonso Davies, which I'm pretty sure this was a while back, and a lot of people clowned him for it. But like I get what he means. He was talking about. He goes, "You got to think after practice. I go home. I have like 3 friends out here that I'm actually like really close with." He goes, other than my teammates. He was like, I'm like a popular athlete or whatever, but he was like, I'm kind of like a popular loser because I just don't have anyone to, and like a lot of people clowned him for that because, oh, you're making this much. But I mean, that's a good point. You don't like, it's not that easy of a life for them. They still aren't like with their family. Like it's very different. Especially for young one. He's like 21, 22. So like
he's 22 still, yeah.
That's crazy to think about. Like I couldn't imagine if I was in Spain all by myself right now.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely not easy mental.
Yeah, 100%. But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a special episode number 50. I want to give thanks to Christian for coming on. Christian, has been a pleasure to discuss basketball footy with you. Hopefully the Rockets get the pick that you want. Eric, always a pleasure.
Back. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I said, hopefully you get the pick that you want as well. Always good talk. Always good talking to you guys. Baseball is about to enter the peak of the season. I'm very excited. It's the best time of the year. The Astros look dead, and then they won like 10 in a row. So you can never count that team out, man. You tip the cap. Like, I'm not even just saying this because these two guys are on the pod, but you tip the cap to them. There's really nothing you could do. Like Christian said last October, the Astros Invitational, but we'll see what goes down this October. Ladies and gentlemen, remember to like, share, comment, subscribe. Ronald Acuna, I'm looking at you, my brother. NL MVP 2023. I'll see you then. Peace.